I'm going to be honest, I didn't really have high hopes for this Simbans Tangotab when I first received it, but after using it, this thing is actually a pretty decent device, and I actually highly recommend it to those of you who want a device with warranty and comes with accessories with it as well. So let's get right into the review of the Simbans Tangotab. So let's talk build quality very quickly. The Tangotab has a rubber back, and I really like it a lot. It has that nice soft matte rubber on the back, and it feels very nice as well. You got the Simbans logo that is painted on, and a couple of things over here as well. And then you have a little embossed thing over here with this serial number. And if you look on the side, you can see that there is a SD card slot, your DC power, your full-size USB, which is very surprising and very nice, and you have your HDMI, your micro USB, which you can actually charge through as well, your headphone jack, your mic, and then you got your buttons here. You have your power button, your volume buttons, and finally here you have your camera, which I'll talk about more later, but it's pretty much useless. And finally at the bottom you have the pogo pins as well as the two slots that you can use to attach a keyboard to the Simbans Tangotab as well. The tablet itself feels decent. The rubber definitely feels nice, and I definitely like how the rubber feels. It's one of my favorite materials to use. It feels good. It does pick up dirt, so if you get ketchup on this, you're not going to get it off very easily either. So that's one thing to be aware of when you're using a rubber device. Now flipping it to the front, you can see that there are sizable bezels. This looks like a tablet from like 2014, 2015. Because of how big the bezels are, they really aren't very nice looking. Just take a look at the bezels here. They are big, they are fairly ugly, but that being said, it is fairly easy to hold. The one thing I will note is that this tablet is actually fairly light as well, so you really won't have much trouble holding it for a long time either. Moving on to the display here, this is a 1280 by 800 LCD display, and as you can see, this display actually looks fairly decent. Yes, the resolution isn't very high for a 10-inch display, but I have to say that the colors coming from this tablet are actually fairly decent. If you look at the picture currently showing the orange flower and the yellow flower, they both look quite deep and quite saturated, and you can even see the green in the back. It looks very nice as well. And if you look at this dog, there's very nice separation between the dog and the blue sky behind. Very nice colors, so it definitely looks pretty decent. And of course, this looks very yummy and very tasty. I love hazelnuts. And yeah, it just looks like a very good screen. And I will say that if you are looking at something more complicated, it won't look as nice because you will be able to see the pixels compared to something with a 1080p display. But if you're looking at something like this, it definitely looks pretty good. It's good for reading comics, and it's pretty good for reading books or PDFs as well. It's pretty decent, so I really do recommend this display. Even though it's not the highest resolution, it still looks pretty decent. Maximum brightness though isn't that great, so this is currently at maximum brightness already. So you can't really make it any brighter than this. It's not going to be super bright, but if you are not in direct sunlight, you should be able to see it pretty easily as well. Touch sensitivity on the screen is decent, but it's not amazing. Sometimes it will miss my fingers touch occasionally, but that doesn't really happen too often. As you can see, I'm touching it pretty lightly, and it's scrolling through pretty easily as well. So touch is quite good, but not super amazing. So let's talk about the audio quality as well. The audio quality here is actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Yes, you have stereo separation, and you actually have some bass. So if you're, watching something with a lot of bass-heavy explosions, like, gameplay footage from Battlefront 2, or you're watching a movie like a Jason Bourne movie or Tom Cruise movie, which now he looks like a middle-aged woman. The bass will actually sound okay. It's not going to be an amazing bass like what I have with my Smart as a Nut Pro 2, which is currently my favorite speakers so far, beating even tablets and laptops as well. If you're watching TV, you're watching movies, or you're listening to some music, you're going to get some okay sound coming out of it, so really no complaints here about the sound. Let's talk about battery life next. here you have a 6600 milliamp hour battery powering the MTK 8163 coupled with a 10-inch screen, which I will say that the battery life here is not crazy bad, but it's also not good either. I was able to get around 6 hours of screen on time with this tablet, which is actually decent considering how small the battery is. So I'm fairly surprised that they were able to pump out so much battery from this tablet. Don't listen to the estimation. It's actually pretty bad. It says 2 hours, but you can definitely get a lot better battery than what you get, than what it's saying here. 2 hours is way less than what you will be able to get. So it will be difficult to get through a whole day with the battery here, but I have to say that if you're going to get through most of a standard day, you should be pretty okay with the battery here. And don't forget that you can not only charge using the DC port, you can also charge using the micro USB port as well. It does take a long time, but it does work. All right, let's talk performance next. Here we have the MTK 8163, and I have to say that the general performance of this device is fairly fluid. It's not super fast, as you can see. There is a tiny bit of lag or slowdown, but it's still pretty decent. And I have to say that most people won't see an issue with this. It's just the reviewer in me just finding nitpicks to nitpick here. It's a tiny bit slower than, let's say, a Pixel 2, but still it's fairly decent in terms of swiping. So where you start seeing a little bit of slowdown is once you start launching apps. When the apps are not in the memory, you will see that there is a slight delay when you're launching apps. Even here, it actually wasn't that bad, so I'm actually quite impressed. Again, you're launching apps, you will see a tiny delay, which is actually not too bad also. Multitasking is not going to be too easy because you have 2 gigabytes of RAM, so multitasking is not going to be massively conducive, but I have to say that most of the time it's going to be okay. You will see some slowdowns and lags here and there once you have too many apps open, but it should be okay. Alright, let's talk gaming, and as you can see here, I have PUBG installed. This has a resolution of 1280 by 800, so it's not terribly intensive, but still I'm playing at lowest resolution, and I still see some lag here and there as well. Look at the way I'm facing. You can see that there is some lag, especially if I'm trying to pan too fast. You can see the frame rate does slow down as well. So this game really isn't conducive to high-end gameplay just because of the MTK 8163. It's not the most powerful, and you only have 2 gigabytes of RAM, so that's going to be fairly difficult, especially with these newer games as well. So I'll play a little bit of PUBG just to show you what it's like, but really you should be only able to play less intense games than PUBG, and that should be about it. All right, let's talk quickly about the camera. The cameras here are bad. Do not use them to take photos, please. And I know some of you guys might want to take photos with this tablet when you have your phone right there handy. I know this old lady who has a OnePlus 5, which her son bought for her, and she still uses her iPad 2 to take photos, and it just makes me so mad. But yeah, please don't take photos with this tablet. The cameras are horrible. Okay, so what are my conclusions on the Simbans Tangotab? I will say that you can actually get some better value for money. It's actually a little bit difficult. You can get better value for money than this if you buy from someplace like GearBest, because you do get more selection from bigger brands than Simbans. But what you don't get here is the warranty, and you also don't get the case that comes with it as well. And those things do factor into the total cost of this tablet. So yes, this tablet is actually fairly cheap for the price when you consider that there is warranty and that there is also a case that is given to you as well. So again, if you are a tech enthusiast, this is probably not the tablet for you. There are lots of other tablets out there that you can check out later on my channel that are better tablets than these. But if you don't really mind or getting this for, let's say, your mom, your grandma, or your grandfather, this is a great tablet. There's warranty. It's easy to use. There's a case that comes with it as well. So I do recommend it. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.